I'm Jeremy with XDA, and a few weeks back I was honored to be able to attend the Honor anniversary event in Shenzhen, China. While I was there, HonorUK set me up with their new device, the Honor 6X. This device is being simultaneously released in the US and Europe today at CES, though it has been available in China for quite some time. I'll be doing a quick walkthrough of the stock ROM that ships with the device so that you can get a bit of an idea of what's in store. Before we begin, here are a few highlights about the device itself. For the camera setup, it features the same dual camera on the rear as the Honor 8, with a 12 megapixel main camera for imaging the photos and a 2 megapixel camera to assist with depth of field, along with an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. It boasts powerful performance via the Huawei Kirin 655 octa-core processor, an i5 coprocessor, and comes with 3 gig of RAM and 32 gig storage in one configuration, or 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage with additional storage available via a micro SD card, and a 3340 milliamp per hour battery. It sports a sleek design with a headphone jack in silver, gold, and gray, and a premium experience all around. The default launcher is standard for Huawei and Honor devices, has the app drawer built into the scroll of the home screens. Just keep scrolling as you see fit, pull up apps. It does come with your typical dump of Google-related software, as well as flashlight and FM radio and calculator and audio recorder, some of your typical things there. Also comes with pre-installed bloatware of Twitter, Facebook. There's also a few games here. So let's go ahead and go into settings. Here you see your typical breakdown of settings by category. Let's go ahead and look at the network settings. At the top, we have the Wi-Fi Plus setting, which when we select it, gives us a bit more information as to how that functions. When we go back, we see our normal array of network settings again, which you can configure and turn off as your needs require. We go down to Huawei home screen style. We can see how the Huawei Home looks, either the standard view or a simple view, not unlike Windows Metro's UI from past Microsoft vomited mobile implementations. Selecting it for a quick view shows us what we would expect and something your parents or those with limited use cases for their mobile device might find appealing. From the home screen, we can go back 2 settings, though it does require an extra tap into shortcuts instead of just having the settings gear icon at the top like other UIs. We'll revisit that here in a minute. Looking into display, we have all the settings for how the experience is presented to you, from wallpaper to view modes, to font size, color temperature, and so forth. Different ways to ease the strain on your eyes, brightness adjustments. You can also set the DPI here, which will adjust the view. Will also show, it gives you a great preview of what it looks like. Typically, we'll just go ahead and keep it here so that everybody can see on the screen a little bit better. We'll keep it at large, but I like it lower. You can adjust the different font size itself, make it smaller, larger. Color temperature can be very handy. Can also help kind of ease some of the strain on your eyes from the display. Some displays are calibrated a little bit differently, so this gives you a little bit more of control over how that presents images to you. There's also the brightness. Auto brightness works really well on here, as you can tell. We can make it really bright. Then we have the different sleep modes. We also have the ability to auto rotate screen, turn that on or off. We can increase readability during direct sunlight. We also have the eye comfort option, which when turned on, it removes the blues in the light, making it for a warmer color tone. So that's that. So we can go ahead and move on down to sound, and we'll set all the settings for how the device notifies you of phone calls on the different SIM cards to your simple notifications. Next, we have a nice notification panel and status bar settings, allowing you to make some much needed changes. First, allows you to adjust how the notification shade pulls down based on where you pulled down on the screen, thus negating the issue of needing to manually select shortcuts like I mentioned before. By default, this does try to decide for you based on if you have notifications or not. And since I have a notification, it won't allow me to see the shortcuts unless I pull down and choose it manually. So by turning on the determine from drag position option, it does let us choose what we want when I want it. This has existed in custom ROMs for quite a while, with Sony adopting it early on. Another feature which has been in custom ROMs for a while is the ability to display the connected mobile carrier or not. Turning off the show notification icon, of course, removes them, and you have to manually pull down the shade to see them, and I don't think that's all that useful. And if you're one of those who really wants to know how fast your device is transmitting data, you can have a network speed indicator in the status bar. You will have to turn on data roaming in order for that to display. At least I will, since I don't have Wi-Fi. Once data connects, you'll see that pop up. Again, that's something I think clutters up the bar, but it is kind of nice and handy to see. For any reason you happen to know that your network speeds are a lot slower than they should be. You can also see the exact percentage of battery left, as well as how that percentage is displayed. We'll choose it inside the battery icon so we don't lose any status bar real estate. Again, that's very important. Onto the settings for Android users. This is an option which is really pretty standard. There's nothing really special here, but having multiple users on your device can be handy. The fingerprint ID settings is where you can set up not only your fingerprints, but also all that the sensor allows you to do. So along with specific gestures like bringing down the notification shade, browsing photos, answering phone calls, stopping alarm, all of those with just the swipe or a scan of the finger. Screen lock is pretty standard, lets you set up your screen lock style, which looks to be something that Honor may add more screen lock styles in the future, but there's just one right now. As well as, the password to unlock, how notifications are displayed, or if they're displayed when the screen's locked. Smart Assistant brings up a lot of different options here, and so you can have the different navigation icons on the nav bar, giving you some nice options to choose from, whether it be your standard AOSP or Samsung. You can also have one option that gives you a way to have the notification panel come up or down really quickly. Floating dock. It's an addition which lets you access the dock from wherever you decide to put the little dot there. So in case if you're using your device one-handed, you can have this set maybe middle of the screen, and it brings up the same options you would have on the nav bar at the bottom. So motion control, it's pretty standard with a lot of other devices right now. You have the flip option so that you can mute incoming calls. You can also mute timers and alarms just by turning it open and turning it over. It kind of recognizes that action. The one-hand UI is useful if you have small hands and tend to use your phone more one-handed. Turning it on and then swiping from the bottom will make it into a 4-inch device at any time. The same thing goes with the shifting keyboard option, which allows you to set which side of the screen your keyboard is on when you're using it, if you're using your device one-handed. Voice control options let you make calls without the screen being on by holding down the volume until you hear a beep and then saying who you want to call. It also gives you options for having it announce incoming calls, which can be annoying to those around you. If you have a smart cover, you can set up what kind you have. We don't, so we'll just turn this off. A compatible headset lets you control music playback and add a favorite song, but again, we don't have one to test, so we'll turn that off. If you want your device to automatically power off at a given time, either once every day and then power back or in the same fashion, EMUI has you covered. Do Not Disturb is another feature that we'll go into here from the custom ROM community, which has become a staple of Android the last few years, and you can set up your schedule as you see fit. The Huawei ID gives you the ability to sign into Huawei services via an account you either already have or register for. You also have your typical spot for adding accounts to your device, either those built in or via any extra apps that you've installed. The Google settings, again, that's pretty much standard for what's on all devices with Google services installed. The apps give you the ability to control all the different apps on your device, as well as the different permissions associated. One thing I haven't seen in other devices that they do here is the ability to set up how certain links are handled and by what application. You can also set up the default apps for each function of your device, which is handy, instead of clearing defaults, and then identify which apps can draw over other apps, turning that on or off, as well as which apps can write to system settings, which you can then turn on or off as well. And then another option here is ignoring battery optimization. So Android's battery optimization is DOS, and this kind of sets up if an app ignores Android's built-in battery optimization. Advanced settings gets us a few more system-related bits and pretty much more standard Android ones, like date and time. You have your language and input. Memory storage is another one that's pretty consistent. They have added a little bit there called the storage cleaner. Allows you to clear out any trash or unneeded files. Another noteworthy bit here is the battery manager. You have your normal options for power saving modes and a section for protected apps, which are those that will remain active if the screen is turned off, so that you can get that needed notification. You can of course look at what apps and hardware are consuming battery and how much, both in the foreground and background. Another option is the power usage firewall, and the power usage firewall keeps track of apps which are using more than their fair share, but right now there aren't any. Optimize scans your system and gives you suggestions on things you can do to use less battery, like enabling power save, screen brightness changes, screen timeout, etc. Power usage is your pretty standard power usage. Security, again, is where you can lock your SIM card, set up, remove device admins, a lot of other useful options depending on your level of security mindedness. I always turn show passwords off. Device administrators, you can see by default it just has the Android device manager, and that's pretty much it. Location access by default was turned off, which is nice, though that likely would have changed had I added a Google account. For those with the HP printer, use the Mopria print service. Those are built in and you can set those up there. Accessibility itself hasn't really changed from anything else. It stays pretty close to Android stock. And that's that for the Honor 6X walkthrough. All in all, it looks to be a really promising device. If the Honor 8 and the Honor 5X are any indication, and we at XDA look forward to seeing how development emerges for the device. I want to thank HonorUK for the privilege of getting hands-on with the device. In addition, to be looking for the full device review, which is soon to come from Mario. Please leave comments below, and if you haven't already subscribed to XDA, please do so.